And Shep, how did it come about for you? What was your experience, your first experience that this was going to happen?
Okay, so when it came around to me, anyways, what happened is I was just, riding around, and Carl and Marie, which are actually the owners of the horse I rode.
That's Carl and Marie de Bruin of
and Marie de Bruin,
famous horse breeders.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm actually riding for them now.
Oh, fantastic! Is that your job at the moment? Okay, great.
And what happened is they said to me, you know what? There's a talent search going on for dressage. We know you're a show jumper, but are you interested in doing dressage? So I said, yeah, sure, why not? And
worst case scenario in dressage, Monty, I mean, you're also a dressage queen like me. I say to people like show jumpers get worried about dressage. I say, if you get wrong at a show jump, you die. If you get wrong in dressage, you get a 0. Worst case.
Worst case, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was, to me, it was like, wow, like what an opportunity. I need to actually send in all my stuff, like the videos, the pictures, and all the information that was needed, like how long have you been riding and all sorts of stuff. And then when I sent that through, it actually came about that Marie was like, you've been chosen to ride.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then that's pretty much what happened.
And the horse that you ride, Aragon DB,
Yes.
what's his story? How did you land up riding him for them?
Okay, so when I actually moved I started to ride at Marie, got there to just back 3 horses. Okay, and when I got there, it was actually quite funny because there was a horse there that I've actually fallen in love with called Eros.
Okay.
He was a little bit of a difficult guy, but now he's actually amazing.
Oh,
so
he just needed to find his person.
He just needed to find his person, and someone who was going to give him the time to actually understand him and get him right. So that was me. And when that happened, Marie then said, you know what, we've got a couple of older horses that we would like you to just walk around and, do all whatever you want on them. So I said, okay, cool. That'll be an amazing opportunity. I had my my afternoons off in like most of the time. And then what happened is then I landed up with Aragon, and I was told, you know what, he's quite a talented horse. We would like to keep him, and he wasn't actually on the market or anything. So they said, we would love to keep him, and we would love to see you riding all of these horses and see what happens. And that was how it started.
Shep, what's your riding background?
Okay, so and how I started riding was my dad used to be a groom.
Oh, wow, okay.
To a rider called Maud Arts.
Yes, Maud actually is very involved with the coach developer program for Dressage South Africa, I think, in KZN at the moment.
Okay, that's quite cool.
Yeah.
So actually, I went from school and thought to myself, you know what, let me go to wait and see where my dad works. And I got there. When I got there, actually, I didn't know nothing. I had nothing about horses, all right? And when I got there, my dad was like, this is what I do. And I found Maud actually riding. And she offered me to sit on one of the horses there, which was, I remember the horse's name was Monaco. It was actually the first horse that I actually sat on. And she said, get on. And I said, but I don't know what to do. She just said, balance yourself. And I mean, the saddle was so big. I was so small.
How old were you?
I was about 9. 9.
That's amazing.
Okay, and then it took off when I decided somehow that I wanted to be a jockey, but I was quite short and quite fat.
Yeah.
And when I went to the academy, which is right in Rankisfontein, they said to me, no, you gotta go and lose weight, So when I went to go and lose weight, that's when I shot up and
oh dear.
Yeah, that was never gonna happen.
That didn't work out well at all.
Didn't work
okay.
out well.
Your body was just saying we're not up for this jockey nonsense.
Yeah. So,
okay.
After that, then I got in touch with a lady called Sharon. Then she said to me, you know what, come ride here. I'll help you ride around, and that's how it started. Sharon Leaper.
That's great.
Yeah, like she started guys like Vincent Mamise.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, like from there actually was a takeoff.
That's great.
And then my dad passed away, and then after when my dad passed away, I thought, let me just keep this going. So for me, it's not just a hobby, but it's for something that actually keeps
the connection to your dad.
Connection to my dad.
That's really special.
For sure.
And you said your roots. I know your roots are in show jumping, but please tell everyone else how a show jumper.
Okay, so like as I started riding, as I mentioned before, I wanted to be a jockey. I went to Sharon. Sharon was like, well, this is never going to happen because now you've grown way too tall. So I started actually riding her pony there called Lucky Dip, which is now, I'm sure, about 32 years old.
Is he still around?
Still around.
Oh, that's magical. We have to go get a photo of that. Okay.
That would be so
Yeah.
funny. Anyway, when I started with her, I wasn't really, I didn't know much about dressage. So I got locked into a lunge ring.
Yeah.
Just going round and round in circles until I found my balance. And then one day she decided, let me just put a little cross there for you and see
Make
what
it
happens.
interesting.
Yeah, make it a little bit interesting because I was so bored in going around in circles. And she said to me, well, go through there and then try lean forward. She didn't really explain what I had to do. She said, lean forward. So when I leaned forward, kind of hunched, forward. And she said, no, just look straight up, pick your back up a little
Lovely.
bit, make it straight. And then that's how,
And that bug bit.
Yeah, that's how I got into show jumping. And then the first day I went into the ring, I actually came off.
Oh, no, seriously.
Yep. But that kind of gave me a little dent, a little bit on my ego. They thought,
Always. There's a lovely phrase, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago. It said, if you aren't a humble person, your horse will make you one.
of course,
Yeah.
any day.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how it pretty much started. And then I ended up with guys like Ronnie Healy, rode with Linda Robbie. I went to Barry Taylor for a couple of lessons.
Fantastic.
And yeah, like it was just one of those things that took off for me, and I love the sport, and I've just been there since then.
You jumped, what grade did you jump up to?
I jumped all the way to the meter 40s.
That is terrifying.
You think that's terrifying? There was a competition I did called the Sin 6 Bar.
Yeah.
And I had a horse called Saratoga Magic at that time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And he went on and jumped 182, and that was the
182.
yeah, that was a huge jump. And
Jeez.
that was just, for me, my heart was sitting up.
Wait, what show was that? At Easter
That was
Fest? Or?
Easter Fest a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
actually. And since then, I went and I rode for.
That must have earned quite a lot of respect for
Yeah,
you from your peers.
I think so too.
That's quite a feat.
That's when I actually, that's when everybody.
Hi,
started-
how's it? I've arrived.
I started knowing that there's a guy called Shepard out there.
Yeah.
Then I went on and I jumped in more into the 140s. But at that point,
Shit, that's crazy. And that horse was that? Whose horse was that?
that was actually Sharon's horse.
Okay.
We had a deal, that we had to do with him, and so I kept him for like 6 years. Sharon thought,
Amazing.
let's sell him, and I said no. So
No.
But I just kept him going, and then finally, I got to the 140s, and at that time, I had realized that I need to actually.
You need some money.
I need some money and find another way to get a little bit of a way.
My heart
to
actually
go
hurts
on.
for you because that is like, I sold one, like I haven't owned a lot of horses
Yeah.
because I can't sell horses. I ride down the driveway crying. I've sold 2 horses, and the one horse was sold to help me afford, my property investment, to buy my apartment.
Yeah, I actually built a house where
Yeah.
I live now. I built a house, from that. So
It's a tough career.
it's a tough career. You have to balance.
Yeah.
So it's quite sad because I still see the horse every now and then at the show, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's my
And what about producing your next horse to build your next house, Shep?
Oh, of course. I would. You know what? I really would if I had the financials to.
And it's a partnership.
It's a
The Shep is
partnership
open
as
to
well.
partnerships,
Yeah.
guys. We're just putting it out
It's
there.
a partnership as well. So it's like you've got to have time. It's the one thing that I've realized about the sport. You have to have time. You have to have the patience. You have to almost endure whatever you go through. You know what I'm saying? And then
It is a sport of I always say to people it's a bit of a masochistic sport, but it's not that but it is an exercise, I think, in absolute determination and perseverance.
For sure. That's the one thing that kept me going.
Yeah.
And like from there it just took off.
Yeah.
That's how I.
Shep, it's an interesting question. I mean, you live in a Leeuwenhout, and it's quite a disparity. Like to live somewhere like that, and to then come into a world where people are paying more for horses.
Yeah.
Than it's crazy.
Nah, you know what? I look at it as my place of zen because out here there's just too many things going on.
Oh, it's crazy. It's also insane. It's a bit obscene what goes on. Yeah.
That's my hiding place, I go there and I hide and I'm like, this is my place of zen. I'm at home. But I'm always out there. Like I want to be at home for a certain number of hours, and then I want to be out here for a certain number of hours. So it's
a good balance.
Yeah. So it's a
good
very
work-life
good
balance.
For sure.
In like a program like this is just fantastic. But what comes next for a rider like yourself? So, sorry, let's touch base first on who your coach was.
Andre Lecant.
That's
amazing coach, really. Because he took me from a place where I just knew show jumping, you know, and like as a show jumper, there's only, you know, you can only just do that amount of flat work. You will only just care about your horse going off the fence. But this time around, it was different because you had to focus on what the horse was doing, and you had to give the right aid at the specific.
It's accuracy.
Accuracy and riding all your corners right and all sorts of things, which was very, very new to me. You know, I just used to, I mean, if you're doing a jump off, you turn right there after the jump, you know,
Well, you're going to find your horses are so much more rideable in a jump off now, Shep.
Yeah. So, well, if they could go and jump.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Marie. Yeah. So what comes next for you with your career? How's this changed?
For me at the moment, what's happened is I've started actually riding 2 more horses for Andre. Well, it's just really one of those things where I get a lesson, you know, like get a lesson and then get a few key tips, you know, like on what to do, on what kind of a horse. Because as a rider, I've ridden so many horses. But not every horse is the same.
Well, and actually riding and getting trained on a horse is two very different things.
It's completely completely different to you know, just getting on and riding a bike. So
the bike never has a bad day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Andre was just really amazing, getting my body up straight. As a show jumper, I hunch a little bit, and I had to be strengthened up a little bit. You know, so he did quite a lot on working on my body and working on what the horse really needed and at what key points that horse needed it. You know, that was just for me another eye opener as well.
It's a game changer having consistent coaching.
Of course. And then then I started riding another 2 horses now for him, which is also amazing because I get
it's wonderful getting that intense you know, follow up.
For sure. He's helping me quite a lot with how I'm riding, you know, and it's been just an amazing journey with an amazing coach, you know, that has time, and he's given me so much of his time, which I really, really appreciate.
Is there anything else that you want to say?
Yes, please. I would like to firstly thank Marie de Bruin and Carl de Bruin for giving me the ride on Aragon. I mean, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been in the competition.
They actually had three horses in the top 5 in the final day. Yeah. I saw, I can't remember their names now, but the stud prefix or antefix is DB.
There was fire, I think, Friar Truck.
Yes,
was Aragon, and then there was another one.
Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah.
They all did amazingly well, and I wanted to thank them for giving me the opportunity to come through every day in riding and actually perfecting myself in horse riding and in dressage. And also Andre for giving up his time, half the time, to come through and just teach me, giving me all these key points that I needed in riding, and also to the Solidarity team for actually bringing us up together and having us, you know, focus on what we actually loved, you know. And I think for me, that was another thing where I was like, really, I need to show up here and show that this is what we all deserve. And also wanted to thank Western Shop for obviously sponsoring everything, like the riding boots, the riding jackets, gloves and all that.
Yeah, you guys did look outstanding.
We were
it was
like
great.
A proper united team. And also I'd like to thank Montanique Beverly as well for keeping us in check. You guys were amazing, and
and you drove everyone, you know, just checking in with Monty created a WhatsApp group, and she was like, 6 weeks to SA Champs, 5 weeks to SA Champs, you know, like 3 weeks. So there was and it was great, Monty. It was actually, you know, it really was like just such a beautiful effort of coming together.
For sure.
And for such a weird, like, I absolutely love dressage, and you know that when it feels good, my
really
God, there's
good.
nothing like it. There's just that pure moment of absolute perfection. You think this is it. I'm good, and then just all goes absolutely up against the wall. And someone said to me the other day, I just want to understand something. You pay people to judge you. And I was like, yes. And they said, could you ever get 100%? I'm like, no, no, never. And they're like, but why don't, and it's just such a funny sport to explain to other people, you know?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just practice the test over and over and get 100? I'm like, oh, child, that's lovely. Anyway, thank you both for joining us.